We wanted to take a moment here to go over the brief aspects here of the writing lesson in social studies and the evidence of writing lesson in social studies and what it encompasses and what types of writing students can do in social studies and how you should plan for this type of lesson. The writing lesson plan template is offered obviously in the PowerPoint slides presented here, as well as a Microsoft Word document slides. And then we are also providing for you resources on how to facilitate a enduring issues writing task, a document-based question essay, and or claim evidence reasoning response with the resources that are provided in the links to the left of this video. What might this part of the module look like? This would probably take 4 days. Day 1, you would introduce new materials. Day 2, you would decline scaffolding for students and then provide some independent practice in writing and also give feedback to students. In day 3, there would also be independent practice. In day 4, there would be assessment and reflection. In terms of distance learning, if we had to be in a situation of distance learning, this lesson would obviously take the week, and you would schedule small video conferencing or phone calls with students to coach them through the process of writing and assist them in their writing process. Here you would provide your knowledge standards as usual and how you will address if the students are not able to acquire such knowledge standards, the skill standards that are needed, which obviously are predominantly the writing standards from the next generation literacy standards, as well as the specific skills that address historical significance and context. And here we would begin the lesson by activating prior knowledge, possibly using a hook to hook kids into the inquiry-based material and taking kids either through an inquiry task of some sort or a constructed response question task. And then once you go through a constructed response question task, that could lead to a writing assignment. Or this could take place through a traditional document-based question essay or enduring issues essay or argumentative essay. The portion of the lesson can be teacher-centered, student-centered, or a combination of the two. For example, students could work to analyze and discuss a stimulus provided by the teacher, and then the teacher could facilitate and debrief in order to elicit key points from the students. Alternatively, introduction to new material could involve the teacher directly communicating key teaching points, and the criteria for success should be clearly illuminate and a vision of excellence for students and tie back to a rubric associated with a writing. In this case, it would be a humanities rubric that you're using at the middle school level or at the high school level, an advanced placement or Regents rubric. The process of decline scaffolding is a lot of modeling. During this portion of the lesson, the teacher directly or indirectly guides students in applying the key teaching points to writing and uses students' responses to check for understanding to determine the amount of support necessary for students in the writing process. It's important that you think aloud as you guide students through this writing process, that you model. If you are in the classroom, you would be modeling specifically through putting even the writing on the board or through an Elmo device and really modeling and thinking out loud the writing process and what you would write. You would ask kids key higher order thinking questions to really check for their understanding here. And you would model and annotate and revise writing as accordingly as needed throughout the academic year. Of course, we would scaffold less and less and less as the year progresses through. In distance learning, you would definitely model a type of writing through a Screencastify broadcast, through slides, and using the writing process by you taking pictures of your writing as you model through, and or you can begin to discuss this writing process in video conferencing with students. Then students transition into independent practice, where this is the majority of the class time that's used for students to apply their learning. It's really important to understand here that peers can provide peer feedback to students. You could also create mini workshops or divide kids into smaller groups. And you might not be having this time be only strictly independent practice, but small groups and peer feedback might be very beneficial. Towards the beginning of the school year, teachers may mainly provide individual feedback to students as they circulate around the room. And over time, teachers can incorporate pre-planned conferences and small group instruction based on previous data. So for your students who have the most needs and need the most support, you would actually move them into smaller group setting while the other students are working on the task itself. Often the assessment involves students annotating their independent work to demonstrate an understanding of the day's instruction by annotating and underlining key portions of their writing and self-rating it on a rubric that's being provided to them. And then finally, you would reflect. And of course, we always add here our traditional exit tickets that we have provided here that address check for understanding, relevant, self-assessment, and mindset. However, you're not limited to these types of reflection pieces. And if you have other ideas, feel free to use them accordingly and differentiate and personalize for your students.